What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now, Back to the Past. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Dragon's Dogma, the original. Now, I wanted this video to potentially beat out Dragon's Dogma 2 releasing. That didn't work, but, I thought, okay, this game is, I believe, on PlayStation Plus. This game is on Game Pass. This game is out there, and you see Dragon's Dogma 2, and, maybe you say, hey, I want to start at the first one, right? The first one is kind of legendary in that community, and want to see where it all began. Maybe you don't want to pay the $70 right away, or maybe you're waiting for a sale, right? Well, you can experience a game that is pretty similar, and I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is building upon a lot of it. But how did it start? Well, it started with a really, really good game back in the day. So I thought, all right, well, let's do this. Is Dragon's Dogma, the original game, is it good? Is it worth playing in 2024? Yes, the answer is yes to all of those things, and I want to go through my history with it, the history of the game itself. The game's very, very special. Now I do want to show you, okay? Now, it's, of course, the stupid green screen, so you're going to see that. This isn't Dark Arisen, although I wanted to show it to you physically because, I mean, obviously, this channel, game preservation, and just having these games physically. I picked this up. Actually, I picked this up recently, but when I was playing it for the purposes of this video, I was playing Dark Arisen, and I was playing it through PlayStation, okay? So just kind of clear all bases. So this is a game, and if you've watched my other videos, there was an era, okay, in my life where it was very much the renting era. We had a Family Video, which actually formerly was Blockbuster, and Family Video took it over, and they had their gaming, room, and there was a stretch where weekly, and I would use my own money, actually, for this. I would go in and just rent games, and that's where I played, like, the Alan Wakes of the world, and I had GameFly, actually, for a point in time as well. So Dragon's Dogma, saw it there. I knew Capcom, but I didn't really know. Dragon's Dogma was nothing to me. I didn't watch anything leading into it. This is a very particular game, okay? I guess that's kind of where I want to start out with it because it is really good. I really do like it. I remember liking it back in the day. And thinking about it now, playing it now, and even like Dragon's Dogma 2, to be fair and to be honest, though, it is a game for like specific people. I don't think the game is for everybody. And I think that's kind of what makes it special. The idea that it feels very real, like you're actually saying with Dragon's Dogma 2, right? A lot of these just world events that are happening, and people are like, I've never seen, or, maybe sparingly, you've seen these things in other games, but not very often, right? Number one, it all started with Dragon's Dogma, and again, that gives it flair, that gives it something I think very, very special, but it definitely isn't for everybody. I was reading in terms of the history of this game, talking about this is a game for those that you can play this if you're not well versed in these type of games. And I don't actually know if that's true. I feel like if you've never played a game even close to Dragon's Dogma and you go in, boy, what a starting point, right? There are, you think about Dragon's Dogma 2, and there's like the quests, and it's very much exploration, and that's how you're supposed to find things, your pawns and whatnot. Very much started here, right? The first thing you'll notice when playing this game is the lack of help. Like, there are things that you can read. Your pawns do help you. There are actual quest markers as opposed to the second game. But you feel immediately this sense of, I'm kind of on this thing on my own. This journey is mine, and anything can happen on this journey. Now, again, like, your pawns will help you, and we'll talk about the pawn system as well, right? But again, immediately, once you jump in, they'll say, hey, maybe you want to do this. Hey, maybe we should stick to the road. Maybe we should do this. Hey, the item we're looking for, it's mainly found by trees. Maybe we should look at trees. It's such a cool environment, while also being quite intimidating. And I gotta be honest, I don't love feeling it nonstop. I don't think I could ever play just games like Dragon's Dogma. I am, in a sense, a pretty well, okay, I don't really think I'm a casual. I play plenty of games, but do I mind having my hand held? Not really. If you want to hold my hand in games, you're more than allowed to. This game does not do it. Neither of these games does it, but that's something you'll immediately see in Dragon's Dogma, the original. You'll go in, and again, there's really no path. There kind of is, but it's up to you. You can go out at night, which you'll kind of be warned about, that maybe that's not the greatest idea. You can go out during the day. You can take a left path, a right path, doesn't really matter. The journey is yours. And again, like, I very much respect that. Like, no matter if I could play those games every day for the rest of my life, right? I respect the idea that you're in it for the exploration, you're in it for that journey, and just the things that'll happen in this game are quite cool. Now, I primarily in these games play as like some sort of wizard or mage or sorcerer. Like that is one of my go-to kind of classes, right? So these games have vocations, and I did the same thing here. I play it as more of like the mage kind of class, and really good. Actually, kind of right away. You kind of start out just a little bit weak, or obviously you're not going to start out like the most powerful of all time, but you get there relatively quickly where you feel pretty darn powerful. There's enemy variation. There's these random event-like things. It's a blast to actually play. It's hard. Again, it doesn't handhold. You're going to have to figure things out, but it is really fun to just kind of go out and say, I'm just going to take out, a group of enemies. Now, all right, I want to talk about the pawn system before I rant myself, out of here. I think it's insane that they came up with this idea. Insane what they even managed to do. Again, just keeping it to this first game. They are so smart. They're so smart, and it's such a cool mechanic, right? So you have your main pawn, and then you have more like a rent-a-pawn kind of thing, right? Like you have these. You're trying to find a good blend for your group, and you can swap them in, swap them out. They have costs, attached to them. But the idea that they're all interconnected, the idea that they have their own experience and are able to clue you in, again, it is the most almost like pure exploration you might find in a game. Now, okay, there might be games that can match it, but very few. You play a game like this, especially if you've never played it before, and again, immediately, the first thing that I noticed, besides it being not hand-holding, which is part of it, right? These pawns and their ability to talk to you is really, really cool. The hints, the kind of motions of where you should go is genius. And the idea, again, of them all being interconnected, I don't know how you come up with something like that. I don't know how you implement that, but they did it. And they did it back, 10 plus years ago. And they did such a good job with it where they feel alive. They feel like they've been part of this universe and they're bringing something to your group. And I don't know. I feel like it's one of the smartest or coolest mechanics or systems, whatever you want to call it, in a game. And just seeing what Dragon's Dogma 2 has also done with them to expand them. But again, like, I think what's really cool, and the reason why I wanted to make this video, I know I'm kind of jumping around, but if people are looking at what Dragon's Dogma 2 is doing, right, this game does a lot of it. This is the foundation for so much of what you see there. Now, yes, there are far less vocations. It's not as in-depth. The additions of what they did with pawns, the additions of what they do with exploration, there is a little hand-holding in the sense that quests are somewhat like you can follow them somewhat easier, okay, in this first game versus the second game, which is a lot more, okay, you're going to have to look around and you're going to have to look for clues and you're going to have to kind of keep track in your mind and stuff like that. This game holds your hand a little bit more. The second game kind of goes into that, again, almost pure exploration, but it does start here because although there is a little bit of help, there isn't a lot of hand-holding. Your choice of doing kind of whatever you want right away is pretty much there. And you'll get whooped. Like, you'll quickly find out if you go to an area that's just not, not acceptable or, not accepting of you right away, you're going to realize that. And now, beyond that, the story has always kind of taken some hits that the story isn't very good. I'll say the beginning, like, it's got enough to hook you. It's got enough to hook you, and I think the rest of it does rely on the gameplay, which I know I skimmed over, but the gameplay is, like, really satisfying. It really is. Like, it feels good to actually just play it. It's got depth. It's got, again, not a ton of hand-holding involved in terms of the actual gameplay. I like it. I like the gameplay quite a bit. And I guess if they're quotes about, hey, if you've never played a game like this before, you could probably start here. You'd be okay. If you're just talking about the hack and slash kind of element to it, you might be right. It's pretty, you can follow it quite easily. It's satisfying. It feels good. It doesn't feel old in a sense where like things have like massively upgraded or changed. It feels good. So if that's what they mean, then yes. Again, though, if they mean, and I know this even from firsthand, there's actually a friend of mine who was, maybe he's watching this video, the game's not for everybody. It's not because it's necessarily too challenging or this or that. It's just not for everyone. I think it's almost kind of I don't even know if I want to say acquired taste. I think if you play these games, you're either going to immediately say, yep, like I'm hooked, and it's your type of game, or it's just not. And I think that's okay. Again, I think that's actually what makes this quite special. Remember, this game kind of like blew up. It did okay at launch, but it just kept going and became this thing. And if you look at the history of it as well, like the similarities between Dragon's Dogma and some of the FromSoft stuff, right? Even like going back to like Demon Souls, right? There were a lot of shared ideas that were like pretty similar, to each other, not in a stealing kind of way. Great minds think alike, they say. And truly, you look at it and you play it, and you can actually see, I believe, the kind of not influence, but this same kind of thinking of what players are looking for in games like this that they didn't always get. Or you think about Demon Souls, you think about this game. Again, what makes it special is you don't really have a lot of them, right? And you play them and you kind of get that mindset where these creators, you can tell there's ideas borrowed from other things, and like it does fit a kind of genre, but they are trying to approach it in a different way and saying, well, what if we kind of just gave like more to the play, like release the leash a little bit, kind of let them handle it, kind of made this interconnected world. Like, what would that look like? It would look like what we've seen from where Demon Souls to Dark Souls went, where this game went to now even Dragon's Dogma 2. That's what it looks like. So I just think a very special game, a game that definitely, again, it's either an acquired taste or if that's not the right kind of phrase for it, it's something that you're going to try and you're either going to love it or not love it. But it's clearly become something. And I like to see that, because I mean, I'm being genuine. Like when I rented it back in the day, I didn't have YouTube, like a YouTube channel. I didn't really follow stuff. All I'd have, maybe like IGN was like my main source. I remember thinking, yeah, this is really cool. I don't think I understood the impact of it. I don't know if I would have thought back then, hey, this might become something. I just thought, yeah, this is really fun. It's very different from other games that I've played. Like I really enjoy it. Looking back at it now, maybe the same thing. I don't think it's like my favorite franchise. Like I respect it and I get it, and I think what it does to kind of push that genre of games is maybe the most fascinating thing to me. I don't think I would call it like one of my favorite games of all time. The impact it had on me wasn't that big, but I think the impact maybe it has had on the industry and just what it's capable of doing that other games just don't do. I give it a lot of respect for that. I think that's the biggest word I think I can use for this game. A ton of respect for Dragon's Dogma. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.